Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Linda. I'm Linda Daniels, and you are now inside Northampton Wolls. There's always some little last-minute adjustment that we need to make, so we're always catching up, it feels like. But welcome, and thank you all for joining me on this second day of September. Holy cow. And Labor Day. We're keeping the store open. We are open today until 5 o'clock, and we've had a lot of traffic. So I'm going to try and do it anyway, but you just might see or hear people as they come in to the shop, because in typical holiday fashion, people are out and about in Northampton exploring the stores. Speaking of which, this was Labor Day weekend, or is Labor Day, and that means the return of all of the students. We are lucky enough to be in the center of the valley in a surrounded by 5 different colleges, and all of the students have come back this weekend. So we love this time of year because it means that we get to reconnect with parents who found us the very first time they brought their students here. And it's always fun to see them, and then we meet lots of new people, which I had the pleasure of doing on Saturday. We met people from California, from Michigan, from Wisconsin, all of whom were happy to find this little piece of the knitting world in the center of the town. We also saw lots and lots of groups of students who are out acclimating themselves to the area, getting to know Northampton, which might be the biggest kind of city that they visit during their time here. Again, we see returning students that we've known right from the very beginning of their college education, and then groups of kids that are finding their way around town, exploring the area. And what was really interesting to me was every single little group, sometimes as little as 3, sometimes as many as 6, traveling around town together. Inevitably, when they came in, somebody was talking about crochet. So if you don't think crochet is having a moment, you need to pay better attention, because it is definitely finding its way into the mainstream more and more and more. And these are kids that 4 years ago, when COVID hit and things shut down, that's the craft that they chose to learn. A lot of them learned to knit, but a lot of them learned to crochet, and they're continuing that hobby as they enter their academic kind of years. So we welcome all of them. We're really, really happy to see them all, and to help them with everything.
From Smith, and she crochets.
See? So we have one person in here who's at Smith, and she's a crocheter. So we're going to see a lot of that. And so you're going to hear me talk more and more about it. We've had a number of people ask about another Granny Square class, which I don't have scheduled, but there are 2 places where you can find out more about a crochet workshop that's maybe just 1 day, maybe 2. One of them is Paper City Fabrics in Holyoke, and they're also connected to the Holyoke Creative Arts Center. Both of those places have crochet classes if you're looking for just a quick little how-to or a little bit of a refresh. I teach a regular 10-week crochet class up at the Hill Institute in Florence, and we are having our sign-ups this Saturday at the Hill Institute from 7 to 10 in the morning. I know 7 sounds like a ridiculously early hour, but if you know the Hill Institute at all, you know that people start lining up sometimes at 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure that they have their class, they're able to get into the class that they want. And after seeing this happen for a number of years, the trustees have decided to start sign up early enough in the morning, and then people don't have to stand out in line so long. So if you are interested in a crochet class, and you don't have to know how to crochet, we will cover the very basics right from the beginning, then think about finding out more. The Hill Institute website has a little bit of detail about it. Not too extensive, but it is a 10-week class, and it's pretty reasonable. I think they're $80 now for the entire session. It does meet on Wednesday nights from 5 to 7. And class size is somewhat limited, but we can take up to 15. So if you want to check that out and see if there's anything else there, there are a lot of wonderful classes from sewing to crocheting. I do know that there aren't any knitting classes up there this fall. I think Liz Sorensen, who used to own Sheep and Shawl up in Deerfield, has been teaching the knitting classes, and there must be some issue that she's not able to teach this semester. But keep your eye out. Speaking of knitting classes, I am working hard at trying to pull together a list of classes that we'll be offering this fall, and I'm still working on that, so watch for that kind of thing. Hold on one second. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Kate to come around here really quickly so that she can show you. She just knit, you can leave it, just come over here. She just knit another Sophie scarf for herself out of the Milos, which is a 50% cashmere, 50% cashmere and 50% cotton. We've got blue and we've got the brown. The one that, oh, you took it off.
Well,
it's okay. You're putting it back on.
Yeah.
It only took one skein, plus she had leftover in it. But it's a little bit on the short side to tie. And so we decided to put one of the jewel buttons. Do you remember the jewel buttons that we had? We still have some. And she's clasped it with that jewel button. I hope you can see. Step right in there. And man, I love the way that looks. That's going to hold it secure. And instead of having that knot or that possibility of the tie coming undone, that little button, remember it has the leather backing and the little round like leg that pops through that. It's going to hold it right in place and really look fantastic. So Sophie scarf, the Milos 50% cashmere, 50% cotton is on sale. It used to be $32 and now we've marked it down to $24. So it's the end of small project time in August. No, we did small project August and you guys jumped in and really did a lot of them. You can fit a couple of more things in, and this Milos hopefully is one of them. I think I really do need to have the blue. I really do.
Because it's got cashmere and cotton, so it's like perfect for this time of year.
It is. It gives you just that little bit extra, and it is not itchy. It's super, super soft. So if you got one more person to make a gift for, or you want to reward yourself for knitting your way through August, this is the thing to do, because we have 2, 4, 6, we have 7 skeins of brown, and we have 9 skeins of blue. It's on the website, on sale. We're happy to mail it to you if you like, but you do need to get the Sophie pattern on Ravelry, the Sophie scarf pattern on Ravelry.
Oh,
I don't think that's going to work. And Kate followed the directions for the larger size rather than the smaller size. Still only took 1 skein. So that's the Milos. The other small project that we still have going is this scarf. This doesn't have a name because Plymouth Yarn doesn't name their patterns, they simply number them. So this is number 3053. It's been around for a little bit. It is a design that they used a different yarn that's no longer available, but this is their new yarn. This is called Woll Foria. And look at the color in this piece. What I love about this shawl is that it's constructed differently. You first do the lace. So you cast on these stitches and you are repeating the lace pattern 32 times basically to make 32 teeth. At the end of that, you bind off and then you pick up the stitches all along that super long edge, and then you start just garter stitching with short rows, and it ends up like this. And this used the full skein, but it's also the perfect little size for a little something at the end of summer when the nights get a little cooler. It comes in several, I don't know how many colors are up there.
I think about 9 colors.
So it's right behind me, right here. all, whoops, these two and these two. And it's pretty, it's deceiving, because when you look at the outside of the skein, it doesn't give you any clue as to what's inside as far as all the different colors that might be in it. Look at what's in this pink. Turquoise,
do that again.
orange.
The camera can't see it because we're too
no.
zoomed in. Yeah, that's good.
Look at that. So it's kind of fun knitting because it's a little bit of a surprise. I mean, we let you dig in. You can try and open that up as much as possible. This is the color that my sample was knit out of. But there are several other colors up there to choose from. So super quick. It's listed as a sport weight yarn on Ravelry. And this is one of those yarns where, even though it's listed as a sport weight and you would expect to knit it on a size 4 or 5 needle, the pattern is knit on a size 7, calls for a size 7 needle. And that lets the air between the stitches push them apart and loft up the yarn. So you end up with this very lightweight, but warm still, because I had to take it off, little shawl. Its content is, it's 100% wool, but it's kind of a hairy brushed wool, and I think that comes from the spin on it. You can see the fuzz right on the skein. It doesn't look that fuzzy, and it doesn't shed like some of those mohairs you've seen me picking out of my mouth after I've tried something on. This one does not shed. It lays pretty flat. I did block this already. Soaked it for a couple hours and then spread it out and let it dry. So that is one that you're going to want to look at. We'll have, this is the model for the store, so we will have it.
The name in the chat.
Yeah.
Woll Foria.
So it's $28 a skein for that one.
And
very quick knit. I think I did it in 3 different knit sessions of a few hours, maybe 6 to 8 hours.
And I put
it might take you
on the website, when you go to Woll Foria on our website, there's swatches for each color.
Right,
so you get a
right.
little glimpse.
So Kate put up the not just the yarn, but the swatches, color swatches, so you can really see what each color will knit up like. And there's a link to the free pattern. That pattern that I showed you is free, and you can print it off. We do have copies here and give them to you when you purchase the yarn. The other things that are new is we did get in our Lane book order, Orlana, and we've had this book. This is Kalevala issue number 1. We've had this book for a while, and it was such a success that they went ahead and commissioned a second book as well. And I think this one is even better than the first. I went ahead and fell in love with the cover sweater, which is of swan, a swan sweater, and I went ahead and started it. So I'm gonna keep you up to date and posted. This is as far as I got. In an interesting kind of contrast, it is not top down. It is knit from the bottom up. So right now I am in the basically stocking net stitch, all that blank stocking net stitch space right in here. So I'll show you over the next couple of weeks how far I get, but it's just going to be round and round of knitting. The other thing that we did get was the current autumn magazine of Lane, and I wanted to point out the cover sweater. It is knit again with a thin yarn on a big needle in order to let the yarn really bloom and really show off the lace. I want to zoom in on this picture.
Oh yeah, very lacy.
It is, but it's soft and has a real airy, lofty to it. And the reason I wanted to point this out is because the catalogs, the fall catalogs, are out all over the place, and I have seen a similar sweater, all over lace, done in this light yarn. in several of the catalogs for ready to wear. So I think that lace look is going to be a real thing this fall. So you've got it inlaid. It's very demure. Yes, I'm cool. We are having a little bit of a joke with mindful, cutesy, and demure.
We love it though.
But we love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. The big topic. What happens when things go wrong in your knitting and it is not your fault? What I mean by that is designers who write patterns try very hard to make the patterns correct. As a designer, I don't want you buying one of my patterns and then either not understanding or finding a big mistake in the design. Now, we all try really, really hard not to have that happen, but it does. We're only human too, and sometimes things get lost in the translation. Sometimes a designer assumes that you understand what it is they're trying to get across to you, and sometimes just mistakes are just made. One of the new yarns that we got in is from a brand new company called Circulo. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Brazilian company, and I've been watching their yarns for a little bit of time, and we finally decided to dive in. I bought 2 yarns from them. One is called Supremo, which is 100% merino wool. It's really, really lovely, and it is a chunky or super chunky weight. They are saying that it should be knit on a US size 10 needle. That's a little bit too tight. I think it would be a bit too stiff for that. But the pattern that I really loved from them was for this jacket. Woo! What happened? Taylor needs a little oil, I think. But I loved this jacket because it's done in pieces, so you do have to sew it together, but it is a pretty simple stitch. It looks like a big rib, but one row is knit one purl one, the next row is all purl. And the front edgings are done at the same time, so you don't have to pick up any stitches. The pattern is where the problem is. It called for size 17 and size 19 needles, which I did, and that's not easy. I really am reluctant to tell anybody to knit with size 17 or especially size 19 needle. It just, unless you have a really thick yarn like the Plymouth Bay or the Rasta, a size 19 needle is work to actually knit with. And what happened when the sweater was done was that it was way too open and droopy and lacy, and it just wasn't going to hold its shape. I knew it was going to grow from the very moment that I finished putting it all together. What I did with this sweater, when it was done, I put it in the dryer with wet sheets. I had just washed sheets and they needed to be dry, so they went into the dryer with this, which helped. It didn't shrink it, but it helped to get rid of some of that looseness. It pulled it together. Now this has been hanging here for at least a week and it's not growing. It is not really stretching out at all. So that leads me to believe, number one, that you could knit this with a size 15 needle, because that's about what it looks like right now. That wasn't the only problem with the pattern though. The directions for the fronts, because this edge is done at the same time, actually begin with ribbing all the way across the bottom. Fine, but that's not what was pictured. What was pictured was this edging right from the very beginning. So that was a problem with the pattern. I did make that correction on this sweater and made a note of it on the pattern. But the worst mistake of all was one that would really infuriate me and a lot of customers. The pattern said that it only took 4 skeins, and I was really skeptical.
Yeah, dubious.
Yeah, And I was right. There was no way that sweater was going to take 4 of these and be able to do it all. I ended up using 7 skeins. Now, I can grant a little bit of like 1 skein leeway, maybe, but to be 3 skeins off isn't fair to anybody. So, several things. It's one of the reasons why I like to knit as many samples as I can, especially from a brand new company. We're depending on their pattern support to help you want to make the sweaters and buy the yarn. But I need to know that what I'm selling you isn't going to give you nightmares at night. So I knit from this company and from a lot of the other companies to test the patterns and to test the yarn and see how it all shakes out. I have to knit what the pattern says a lot of times, even when I know it's not what I would do. I can then make recommendations to you. And one of the recommendations, besides all the corrections, would be anytime you have an attached edge, start the row with a slip stitch. I did not do that here, but it would create that slip stitch on the edge would have created a much neater, less loopy, like this front edge. But I need to do what the pattern says so that I tell you what kinds of things might make an improvement on it. It's very easy for me to just sell you a pattern and you can go off and knit it and not be happy with the results. It's these little things that we watch for so that we can help you make the best garment possible. So those are knitting problems that aren't your fault.
Eileen said she's glad she wasn't a test knitter for that one.
Eileen, there's a box coming your way tomorrow. So you'll be busy for all of September. Speaking of all of September, I want to give you a quick little save the date if you're making notes. We're going to have a fall preview day on Thursday, September 26th. Starting at 3 o'clock from 3 to 7. If you visit us, we're going to have on display all of the new yarns and new models, new books. We're going to be doing door prizes and have some refreshments, so you sort of get a little sneak preview of what's coming your way for the rest of fall and winter. By that time, we will also have a full class schedule for the rest of the year, and you can see what things you might be interested in doing. If you've got an idea for a class, shoot me an email with that so that I know what you guys are interested in doing. Although there are some great things that are starting to pop out for fall that I think we're going to have some fun with. Let's see, I think that is just about everything, and there's people all over the place, so I'm not going to talk too much longer. We are open today, like I said, till 5, and the rest of the week, Wednesday through Saturday, our normal hours from 10 to 5. So hopefully that has inspired you. If you've got some small projects going, it's time to finish them up, because with all of the new fall stuff coming, I think you're going to want to do one of the great sweaters that are going to be coming your way. So have fun, enjoy the day, but definitely go knit something. Bye-bye.